This is a Good Friday devotional that we have put together for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. First, I'd like to read from Matthew 26, verses 69 to 75. Now, Peter was sitting outside the courtyard. The servant girl came to him and said, "You were with Jesus, the Galilean." But he denied before all of them, saying, "I do not know what you're talking about." When he went on out to the porch, another servant girl saw him, and she said to the bystanders, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." Again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." After a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Certainly you are also with them, for your accent betrays you." Then he began to curse, and he swore an oath, "I do not know the man." At that moment, the cock crowed. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said, "Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times," and went out and wept bitterly. Jesus was right. He's always right. He said I would deny him 3 times, and I did. I never thought I would, but I did. I said I would even die for him, but I ran away. When a little servant girl said I was one of his followers, what, did I stand up for him? No. Did I say, "Yes, I'll defend him with my last breath"? No. I cursed and said I never knew the man. And then the rooster crowed. Just like Jesus said. But this isn't the end of the story. I still followed behind and watched what took place. People tried to accuse Jesus of all sorts of things, but no one could come up with anything that he had done wrong. He was even asked point blank, "Are you the Messiah?" And he said yes. Well, that did it. For the religious leaders, that was blasphemy. To claim to be the Messiah was punishable by death. The problem was the Sanhedrin didn't have the power to put anyone to death. Only the Romans had that power. So they had to find something the Romans would kill him for. Treason. That would work. All they had to do was to have to admit he was the king. After all, the Romans' king was Caesar. Jesus was asked if he was a king. And again, he said yes. But his kingdom was not of this world. The Romans tried to get out of it. They tried to wash their hands of the whole thing. But the people wouldn't back down. The same people that only a few days before were shouting Hosanna were now shouting, "Crucify him." I stood back, helpless. What could I do? What could I do? One man against the whole Roman army? I knew that the Messiah was Jesus. I saw him in all his glory on the mountain with Moses and Elijah. I saw him bring Lazarus back to life after being dead for 4 days. I saw him put the ear back on the slave after I cut the slave's ear off with the sword. All I did was stand off to the side and watch them whip him and beat him. I saw them put a crown of thorns on his head and mock him. I watched as they made him carry the cross up the hill. He was bleeding so much that if the crucifixion didn't kill him, the loss of blood would. I don't know how he had the strength to carry the cross. At one point he fell down and they made another man carry the cross for him. Crucifixion is one of the most horrible ways to die. It isn't the nails in the hands and the feet that are the problem. It's that the person on the cross can't breathe hanging down, so you have to push themselves up with their feet to get their breath. But after a while, the pain in the feet is so much that they have to let themselves back down again. They keep pushing back and forth, and eventually they just ran out of strength and suffocate. That's why they broke the legs of the 2 thieves between Jesus, so they couldn't push themselves up anymore. That way they would die sooner. Even at the end, Jesus was still thinking of others. One of the thieves asked Jesus to remember him when he came into his kingdom. He told him, "Today you will be with me in paradise." He also looked out for the welfare of his mother. He saw John and his mother watching and told John, "Behold, your mother," and his mother, "Behold, your son." Just then the sky was dark for 3 hours. Some of the last words Jesus said were, my God, why have you forsaken me?" If you look in the book of Psalms, that's a direct quote out of the Psalms. And there's some of those events in the Psalms are described right there. Was he sending a message to the Pharisees that were standing by that they would realize what he was saying, that the prophecy had been fulfilled? Or was it because the sin of the world had been laid on him? Maybe it was both. Then he breathed his last and gave up his spirit. At that moment, the earth shook in an earthquake, and I heard that the veil in the temple was torn in two, the one that goes into the Holy of Holies. One of the guards that was there was heard to say, "Surely this man was the Son of God." And later I watched as Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus came and took his body and put it in the tomb. They had to hurry because it was Friday night and the Sabbath was going to start at sundown. They wrapped his body in cloths with herbs and spices and placed the body in the tomb and rolled a large stone in front of it. I heard that the religious leaders were afraid someone might come and steal the body, so that the Roman guard had to come and secure the tomb. They put a seal on it to make sure it wasn't tampered with. Did they really think that we might do something like that? We were too afraid to even think of such a thing. I mean, we ended up just like I am now, hiding in the upper room. I thought that was the end. I thought I'd never see him again. I didn't know what to do next. What are we going to do now? And are the Romans going to come after us now, after all this? We can't go back to the synagogue. They'll welcome us back. What are we going to do now? Here I'd been following him for over 3 years. I saw him perform miracles. I even saw him on the mountain with Moses and Elijah. I knew he had to be the Messiah. How could God allow his Messiah to be killed? As some of the people said when he was crucified, he saved others. Why didn't he save himself? So what are we going to do now? Where will we go? What are we supposed to believe? Well, it's Friday. We know the rest of the story. We know that Sunday is going to come. We know there is a resurrection.